Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Professor Cisco, and I thought I would chime in with you guys in my Cisco class, my Cisco peeps, and start doing labs. Now, we have just crossed a major cornerstone. The class is up and running, and I feel that the bulk, the majority of the people understand where we're going and what we're doing. But one of the things I want to stress is making sure that you understand how the work should be done and why it is important for you to understand the deep dive on why we do routers and switches. So if you like this, please subscribe to the video so you can constantly see all of my videos coming out. So hit that like button. If you got comments, put the comments down there. I will be reading my comments. And just pretty much let me know how you feel. Is this a good platform that's giving you the knowledge you need to know? What I'm going to be doing is doing a deep dive on all of the labs, because I want to make sure you get the essence of what we're doing here in Cisco. Now, I am going to be using two different platforms. I'm going to be doing the NetLabs platform vis-a-vis the packet tracer platform. I want to show you why both are really good to know and why both really can help you. Now, if you ask me, Professor, which one do you like the most? Of course, those of you who know me, it is the packet tracer. And the reason is, the packet tracer gives me the opportunity to build a network consistently, seeing what's behind the curtain. Whereas the NetLabs gives me the opportunity to see how we work in the networking field. So when you're going to get that job and you want to demonstrate your skill set and you want to show that network manager you know what you're doing, you use packet tracer to show these skills off. But when you're working at the job and you need to get the job done, you use what we call the NetLab model to actually show your skill set. So both of them work. Now, that doesn't mean you'll be using packet tracer out there or you'll be using NetLabs. It's just to mimic how we do in the real world. Remember that word, mimic. Now, this first lab I'm starting off with is a lab that you all know, but I wanted to kick it off with this because what I'm going to do is roll out multiple labs, meaning that I'm going to start at the very beginning and move forward. Now, I know some of you saying, wow, I'm doing these labs up here. But trust me, before this class over, I'm going to pass you on all your labs and smoke you. No, I'm just joking. I'm going to be done completed all the labs, so you're going to get a chance to get a feel of what I'm doing. I want you to understand that as I walk through these labs and start completing them, I'm going to be doing a deep dive and explaining why it's so important that you learn this. So for instance, initializing and reloading a router and a switch, it's important because here is what's really going on. We're trying to teach you that if you got a new router or switch or old router or switch, it's important that you clean it off. And I don't mean take a towel and wipe off the top of it. I mean clean out the old configuration and put in your configuration. Even if it's a new router, you don't want to take a new router and then automatically do this. Put it what we call in service. You don't want to do that one. And if it's an old router, you definitely don't want to put it in service because it may already have a configuration on it or old configuration. Now, mind you, when I say old router or old switch, I'm talking about something that's already been used, not something old in age, okay? So in this particular scenario, it's talking about your objectives. Set up devices in a network as shown in the topology. Initialize the router and reload. Initialize the switch and reload. Now, when I'm saying initialize and reload, that means I'm cleaning some out of NVRAM and I'm getting rid of the old configuration. And Cisco always gives you a scenario. Now with the scenario, it's pretty much saying before starting a CCNA hands-on lab that makes use of either a Cisco router or switch, ensure that the device in use have been erased. Getting rid of the startup configuration is very important. Okay, so let's move forward. Let's go ahead and start this lab. As you can see, the first one I'm going to do is in, of course, NetLabs. So I want you to make sure you understand. If you see me turning my head, I'm just making sure that I keep up with what we're doing here. A lot of it I'm going to pass because I know if we wanted to read, you can read it on your own. But I just want you to see what's going on here. I'm going back to the topology. So here's the topology, and remember, I'm in NetLabs. I'm also going to do this same lab in Packet Tracer. As you can see right here, just to go around a few things in NetLab, you can see that we have the topology, we have the content. So if I wanted to actually read it, I got the content in here, and this content has actually been modified for this lab. So it's a few changes in here. I have the status of all my devices. If you saw earlier, I was waiting for my devices to actually come up. And then I have the router, and switch, and then my AC, my ASA, and then my PCs. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want to do is go to the router, and I'm going to click on the router here. Now some people like to click on a router here or there. It's okay. I like to keep the format by just going from here. As you can see, the router is already reloaded. It's up and running. It's ready to go. So I'm going to type in enable. Now I'm going to start out typing everything the old-fashioned way, typing everything out. But as we proceed on, I'm going to shortcut a lot of things. And the shortcuts are a quicker way to get things done. But then I'm going to show you even a shorter cut where you don't even have to worry about doing this. You can get things done. So I'm going to go here, enable. And that's enable. Now, enable, you already know, is taking you into a certain type of configuration mode. Somebody tell me in the comments, what configuration mode am I in now? I don't really know. I'm sure you're going to make a comment and tell me what it is. It's important that you know this, though. The next thing I want to do is erase this particular configuration. So I'm going to say startup, erase, startup, dash, config. Now, what this command is called erase startup config. I know, you already know that. But bear with me because it may be some people who don't know that. This will clear out your NVRAM, meaning that it will clear out the RAM that's on your, in this particular case, the router. So I'm going to hit enter. And then once I hit enter, you see it says erasing the NVRAM system file will remove all configurations files. So at this time, I want to say yes. Why do I want to say yes? Because I want to complete it. Or I can say okay, or I can hit enter. In this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And then we're going to wait and see what happens. Now, it said okay, it's done. I'm getting a little bit too happy, right? Hey, this is my life. Very exciting. Anyway, so it's important that we begin to really understand what's going on. So I went into my NVRAM and I erased whatever was in there, whatever configuration was in there prior to that, it's gone. I'm going to hit enter again. Now what I want to do is type in reload. And the reason I'm typing in reload is because now I want to clean off any startup configuration. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And then I'm going to confirm it. Now I want to confirm it. I'm just checking over here to make sure I'm on the right path. I want to confirm that configuration. So I'm going to hit enter again. And I'm going to let that configuration do what it needs to do to get the job done. That means it's going to go in there and begin to clean it out. Now, let's take a moment. because this is going to take a few minutes. So let's sit back and have a conversation about this. You know, a lot of students really don't know the significance of why this stuff is important. And I want to home in on that while we got a few minutes with this particular router. It's important because if you put any device in service, and that device that you put in service have an old configuration, it can cause havoc for your entire network. So you don't want to be that person who do that because you lazy and don't want to clean off the configuration. But some people like to get slick and say, well, professor, you know what I'll do? I just go in there and put a new configuration in. But you may put a configuration on top of a configuration which mixes two configurations and then attempt to put it in service. That's havoc. That can be problematic. Now, I know you're saying, but who would do that? There are people. There are people. So, with that being said, you need to make sure that you pay attention to what you're doing at the job. The second thing is this. I know you go buy these new products, and the moment you pull them out the box, they should be working. But let me tell you something. That's a mistake too. You should never pull out. I see people pull out switches and say, well, the switch is up and going because a switch can be working. And you hear professors lecture on that you can take a switch right out the box and put it in service. That is so dangerous because you don't know who had that switch before you had it. You just assuming it. I see people all the time go in and buy products and it's been used, but the store is reselling it. Can you imagine doing that with a brand new switch? And I know you're saying, I wouldn't do it. But if the price is right, you would. And you put it in service, and that can cause so many problems for your network. So these commands here are critically important when you first being introduced to a router and switch, whether it's new or used, or as we like to say, old. And when I'm saying old, I'm not talking about something that's ancient. I'm talking about something that's just simply been in service. Clean the router, the switch off, no matter if it's new or considered old or reused. And as you can see, what we just did here is giving us all the information we need to know about that router and switch. I can go over here and pretty much look at everything about this router and switch. This particular thing is a router, but I'm saying router and switch because I'm gonna be working on both of it. I can tell you who I purchased it from, which is Cisco. Of course, you knew that already. But I can tell you what type of iOS that I have on here, the version. As you can see right here, it says version 15, and so on and so forth. I can tell you how many devices connected to it, 2 gigabit Ethernet interface cards, 2 serial interface cards, 1 terminal line, 1 virtual private network. So I can tell you everything about this device. Now right here, I'm going to type in no. And because would you like to enter the initial configuration data? No. And the reason I say no is because I want to put my own configuration in. I don't want to use their configuration or really use a configuration that's already. But it's going to be times when you're going to use that. But in this case, we're teaching you how to use the command code. So that's what this is all about. So we want to say no. The next thing we're going to say no again on, and we're going to move forward. Excuse me, let me take a drink. Water. Coffee and water. Love it. Stay with it. Okay, so it's still reloading up. Now we are back at the prompt. Okay, so we just did everything we needed to do to clean that router off. We initialized it, reloaded it, and it's almost done, but it'll be done in a minute. So while that's doing that, I'm going to go do the same thing for the switch. Okay, I'm going to jump over here to switch 1. And I'm going to hit enter. That's going to bring up the switch. I'm going to enable with a shortcut. And then from there, I'm going to say show flash, and the reason I'm saying show flash is to see if the flash been configured, and we can see that we don't see the flash configured. If the flash had been configured in here, it would say it. You'll see vlan.dat. It'll be a vlan.dat file, but it hasn't been configured because, of course, this is a new router. Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Yeah, a new switch. I said a new router. What's wrong with me? I said, see how I caught myself? Wait a minute. No. Switch. A new switch. And the reason I caught myself because I'm messing with an nv.dat file, so I know that sits on the switch. Okay, moving forward. So now with that being said, I'm going to say delete, even though I know it's not in there. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. Yeah, I know. We just playing around right now, so might as well have fun. Okay, and then I'm going to say enter, and that's done. Okay, so that's been done. So the switch now, I'm going to go into erasing the configuration. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to type in the same command. That's what I love about Cisco. You use the same command to do the job on a router as well as you use the switch. But now understand this. The router does have different commands as a switch because you may be doing router configuration on the router. Okay? Makes sense. It makes sense to me. Anyway, we're going to get that a minute to go through, and we're going to switch back over to, yes, the router. See how it's doing over there. Okay. Now the router is done. Okay. So the router has completed. I don't have to do anything else on the router, but I'm going to go back to the switch and finish the switch up. Let's see how the switch looking. Okay, so the switch is looking good. I'm going to do reload here and hit that, and it says no, and then I'm going to say no again. Excuse me. And the switch is reloaded. See, that was really, really quick. Okay. So, to fall back on this, we just reloaded or erased a router and we just erased the switch. I know you're saying, Professor, that was simple. And it was simple and it was quick. But I want to roll this out to you so you can remember these commands. The most important thing when you go out there and you're working in the world dealing with routers and switches or servers or whatever, remember the commands. So right now, let's point out the importance of this particular lab, what you should walk away with. Okay, and I know you're going to say you already know this, but hey, bear with me. We got some really handy duty stuff coming up. The first thing you should walk away with is the commands that you use in here. The first command, enable. You have to remember that. Erase startup configuration, reload. And then you drop down here to show flash. Now, stop a moment. Stop. You see, you have here delete vlan.dat. So you want to slow down and say, do I have these commands under my command? Are they in my brain? And if they're not in your brain, write them on a paper so you can remember. Because as you proceed forward, we're going to throw a lot of commands at you. And when you get through with these Cisco classes, you're going to have all these commands to go out there and do the Cisco work. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this same lab, this very same lab, but I'm going to do it in Packet Tracer. I'm going to name this lab something like Lab 1, and then I'm going to name, what's wrong with me? Name its counterpart Lab 1, probably A, something like that. But you will see they're going to have the same, pretty much the same lab. Just know that one is done in NetLabs and the other one is done in Packet Tracer. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you subscribe to my page so you can keep up with all the different labs I'm going to be rolling out. But once again, this is Professor Cisco, and I just wanted to come in here and briefly do a lab for you, and I'm going to consistently roll them out, and I hope that you can enjoy them. Remember, if you get a chance, put a comment down there and ask me if this is a particular lab you want to work out. I'm using this platform because I feel that I can reach you guys and reach you better than constantly going through the emails and stuff. Once again, this is Professor Sistrunk, and I will talk to you later.